Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad, who left, that I don't remember him? Original post. I'm 15 female and my father is 46 male. My dad left the family when I was 7 without any explanation. He just vanished one day, and I've never seen him since. He left because of relationship issues with my mom. She was heartbroken and waited 5 years for him to return, but in the end filed for divorce. Thankfully, she's over him now. To be honest, now, 8 years after he left, I barely have any memory of him. Only resentment for the years of suffering he put my mom and sister, 19 female, through. They tried and tried to contact him, but he'd never respond. I can't even remember his voice, personality, or even face much. Then last week, he texted my mother and said he wanted to meet, after 8 years of disappearance. My mom agreed. We arranged a meetup at a nearby restaurant. My sister was so nervous but excited, but I realized I felt nearly nothing. He arrived and my mom and sister started crying. He cried too, at the sight of his beloved daughters. He saw that I looked quite emotionless and said, "Don't you miss your dad?" I replied honestly that I didn't remember him. He left so long and it's like I barely knew him. He was so shocked and hurt. Eventually, he cut off our meetup early, claiming he had to work. My mom and sister were so mad. They blamed it on me. My mom said that my sister has been waiting to see her dad for so long, but I had to make a stupid remark and make him leave a second time, asking how I could behave like this towards my dad, telling me that I'm a selfish witch and an a-hole. I'm sorry that I cut the meetup short because I knew my sister missed him so damn much. But to be honest, I don't feel bad for saying the truth. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. If he's going to leave again because his daughter told him the truth, they're better off with him gone. Exactly. If his response was anything but apologetic when you said that to him, then he's still a loser. You're better off spending time with people who want to treat you well. Not the a-hole. Right? He should have apologized profusely instead of calling her selfish. He is the selfish one, not the a-hole. OP's reaction is completely normal and warranted. And anyone expecting anything else can only be disappointed. Honestly, after all those years, I wouldn't call her unreasonable if she doesn't want to see him as her dad. Opie's dad left when she was 7 and met her again at 15, which means she spent more than half of her life without him there. He left before any lasting memories of him can be formed, and only returned when Opie's character/personality had been fully solidified. Basically, he wasn't there for any event that Opie can remember clearly or can impact her life/her as a person significantly so far. It's no wonder why she doesn't remember him. I found it less surprising than the fact that her dad still expects a warm welcome after 8 years and all their struggles. Honestly, Opie's reaction is the least surprising, suspicious, or concerning thing about this whole encounter. Dad's response and mom/sister's reaction was way more eyebrow-raising. I mean, seriously. First, about the dad. Why did he, after 8 years of giving zero care about his wife and daughters, asking for a meetup? His beloved daughters. It's almost like he had no contact with them for nearly a decade. I feel like he only came back because he needs/wants something from Opie's mom, and is trying to manipulate her and their kids into letting him back in so he could get what he wants. It's pretty obvious. If he genuinely cared about bonding again or repairing his relationships, he would have apologized and certainly would not get mad at Opie for her reasonable reaction. Second, Opie's mom and sister's reactions. If the mom is A, crying over dad leaving again, and B, is shifting blame to Opie instead of holding dad, the one truly at fault, accountable. I don't think she's over her ex as Opie thought. She waited for 5 years before accepting the truth and moving on with her life. There's clearly very, very deep-seated issues here and they haven't been addressed, much less resolved. Not the a-hole. You're the selfish one? He walked out with no explanation when you were only 7, and shows up 8 years later thinking everything is going to be all okay and yet you are selfish for not remembering him? I'm in shock. I'm even more shocked that your mom and sister are with him on a playing happy family in a sense, rather than ripping him a new one for what he did. Someone made a very good point that the dad was gone from Opie's life longer than he has been there. It makes total sense that he wouldn't be remembered. Yeah, poor little old dad. How could his daughter not remember and miss him after he abandoned his family when she was 7? Not the a-hole. And now for the update. Hi, it's me again, but now I'm 1 year older. And a bit wiser, I hope. It's been a few months since I initially posted, so here's an update on how my life's going. First, I no longer feel bad about making my dad leave the meetup, since he somehow reconciled with both my mom and sister. Here's how it happened. In mid-April, he came to our house to see my sister on her birthday. He bought a ton of gifts and said a lot of sappy words, which of course won my mom and sister over. He tried to talk to me, calling me his darling baby and precious little girl. However, when he realized that I truly did not see him as a father, he left. In June, he visited again. I confronted him and asked why he suddenly wanted to be so involved in the family after leaving for 8 years. He said that he never forgot about us and always felt so guilty about leaving, that he needed to see us again because we were the most important people in his life. I demanded to know why he left then. His exact answer was, "Baby, when I was in a relationship with your mom, things got difficult. Things like that happen in relationships and Daddy needed a break. It doesn't mean Daddy doesn't love you." I thought it was utter BS. I said, "If you needed a break, you could have talked things out with Mom. You could have even filed for divorce. But instead, you walked out and left without a trace, like a freaking coward." He tried to convince me that I wouldn't understand these kinds of things, but I wouldn't hear him out. He dodged my questions and eventually got so frustrated that he left again. In July, which is my birthday month, he visited on my birthday. In a very passive-aggressive manner, he said he wanted to take my sister and mom out to a restaurant to catch up with Daddy. My sister asked, "You are not taking her, me, too?" He responded, "Opie's very temperamental with Daddy. Can you tell her that Daddy loves her? She won't understand." I find it very weird and slightly disturbing that he is still talking to us like we're little kids, despite me being 16 and my sister being 20. My sister and mom were hesitant about leaving without me, but eventually they went. They came home to celebrate my birthday with me, but I still thought it was hurtful they went in the first place. Our family hasn't heard from Dad all August, despite my sister trying to reach out to him. Of course, they are putting the blame on me for giving him the cold shoulder. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. By the way, I'm so thankful to all the commenters. If it weren't for them, I'd probably be still feeling guilty and sad. Have a great day. They went out with him. Without you? On your birthday? That's cold. On her 16th birthday on top of that. Mom doesn't sound much better than Dad. And the older sister is 20 yet pulling this nonsense. There's something seriously wrong with your father. I'm so sorry. I hope you have support and counseling. I think there's something seriously wrong with her mother. That the woman can take her other child and went to dinner with an ex-husband who walked out on her years ago on her daughter's birthday. She left birthday daughter behind by choice. Father didn't make her do it. That blows my mind. This woman is literally choosing to side with a man who ruined her family, rather than the daughter who is, rightly so, struggling to form a bond with a man she barely knows. This speaks volumes, that her mother never got over her husband leaving her, that her mother is more desperate to stay on this man's good side than protect her own child, and that her mother probably will not stand up for her in any way if her father were to return to their family. Her mother is a piece of work, and everyone is just blaming the father. Your dad is manipulative and abusive. He is gaslighting the whole family, and it is sad your mom and sister are falling for it. He will disappear and try to blame you. He is never at fault. Correct. He is now angling for something. Either he wants a signature from Mom, or Mom has a relative about to kick the bucket. He has an ulterior motive. Something has happened to bring him back into your life. Next story. Am I the a-hole for explaining to my half-brother why mine and my brother's dad isn't his dad? My parents divorced when my mom cheated. My brother was 9 at the time and I was 8. Mom cheated and got pregnant. After Dad left her while she was pregnant, he did a DNA test when my half-brother was born and confirmed he was not a father. My half-brother's bio dad was married as well, and his wife would only forgive him if he had nothing to do with my half-brother. They ended up moving and I guess staying out of the view of the courts, so I never paid any child support or had contact with my half-brother. My dad is not in his life. I know that's controversial for a lot of people, even people we know, but my brother and I never felt like he was doing the wrong thing. We knew our half-brother wasn't Dad's, and we knew people with step-families where the two sides didn't mix. But Mom always felt bad that he had ruined our half-brother's life. She had no male family members, and my brother always has kind of hated our half-brother for being born, not going to lie. So he has all girls/women but no male figures. It makes me feel bad for him, but I still don't think it's my dad's job. but Mom does. She has told my half-brother that my dad is technically his dad because he is mine and my brother's dad. So over the years, he has sought out my dad, and there are times where he's kind of figured they're not actually dad and son, but he has asked my dad if he would be his dad, since he doesn't have one. Yeah, it's sad. My dad has told my mom to fix it, but she just wants to pressure him to do more. He's asked me several times if I could help him get my dad to love him. It's always awkward because I won't ever do that. But I also don't want to hurt him since he's still so young. Recently, he has bought more into the idea that dad is his dad too and is a deadbeat to him. Mom told me she stands by that thinking 100% and my dad is the a-hole in all of this. It came up again with him and Mom was agreeing with him. I called her out and told her to tell the truth and fix it, but she refused. So I told him it was like his best friend's family, where his best friend has Alex as a dad but his mom is married to Mark and has kids with him. I said it was the same for us. He was so hurt and asked Mom why she didn't give him a better dad. And Mom kicked me out. I'm 18 and don't live with her, and told me I was a nasty witch who broke my brother's heart instead of going after a grown man who could have been loving enough to take on his own kid's sibling who had done nothing wrong and is the most innocent person in all of this. She also said she knows I don't consider him a real brother and that it's horrible he doesn't even have siblings who love him unconditionally. I know my half-brother is still pretty devastated by it all, which is why I wonder if I'm the a-hole here. Am I? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Neither is your dad, your brother, or half-brother. Everyone else is, especially your mom. She is making a no-win situation and then trying to manipulate your dad into being her youngest son's dad. She is hurting everyone more in the process. It is not your half-brother's fault he doesn't have a father figure, but that doesn't mean your dad has to take on a responsibility that is not his. Your mom needs to step up and own up to it. Your brother is now 10, so old enough to understand. I'm sorry you were caught in the middle. Every time I see this, I'm shocked. I still don't get it. How do you cheat on your spouse, have a kid with the affair partner, and then expect the person you wronged to take on a product of your affair? How do you begin to think this is acceptable, much less expected? The same way you find it acceptable to cheat on your partner, sometimes people are just a-holes. Not the a-hole, your mother is the a-hole. This is her way of refusing to take responsibility for cheating on your father and ultimately betraying your family. She wants to make your father the villain, because if he is, I suppose somehow that makes her less guilty, at least in her own eyes. You gave your half-brother the truth. Something he has been sorely lacking. In truth, you did nothing wrong. You just did what your mother was either too scared or too selfish to do. Your half-brother is in a real lousy situation and I feel for him. I also think it's wrong for your brother to blame him for being born, when your mother and the a-hole she cheated with are to blame. I hope he finds people who will give him the love and affection he is wanting so badly someday. Putting responsibility on someone else seems to be her MO. She knows Opie's half-brother is seeking approval from someone he'll never get it from, by no fault of his own and encouraging a false belief, because it gets her off the hook. She blames Opie for taking the band-aid off and telling the truth. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sisters I won't choose them over our dad? My parents had 4 children together. My sister Amy, my brother Luke, my sister Sarah, and then me. Until 2019, we had no idea there was this deep, dark family secret lurking underneath the surface, until a series of events happened. We discovered our father was not our biological father, and this was something he didn't know either. We ended up doing paternity tests with the hope that it wasn't true, but it was. Amy and Luke share a sperm donor while Sarah and I share one. Our mother claimed she knew dad was infertile, or at least was not able to get her pregnant, after years of struggling to conceive and having tests done on herself. So she decided to secretly get babies by sleeping with men, one of them being our father's own brother, who is the donor for me and Sarah. Dad wanted a divorce right away. He was furious. He was heartbroken. He was all sorts of things. And my sisters were telling him how he should look at it as sperm donation, and how we just had another dad out there who could be good for us, etc. Dad said it made it worse. My sisters were not happy. They tried everything to talk Dad out of the divorce, even saying his divorcing mom was saying he wasn't glad he got us out of the bad situation. Luke and I are the only 2 who wanted nothing to do with mom or with the sperm donors. Our sisters didn't like that and turned on Dad, saying he should be encouraging us and embracing this as just another part of our family. He confided in me that he feels like less of a dad because he's not just our dad but one of them, because someone else made us. Someone else will always come into it. I told him as far as I was concerned, he's the only dad I have, and as a daddy's girl, I could never have a relationship with someone else like ours. My dad has not spoken to that brother since, which made things even worse with Sarah, who asked him to allow her to have both her dads being good with each other. Amy and Sarah's relationship with Luke and I is not good, but now we've had a big fight. Amy and Sarah said Dad is selfish and an a-hole for what he's done, and claimed he never really loved us if he can't be happy for us expanding his family. We disagreed. They said we should not be talking to someone who actively doesn't want the best for us and our newfound families. I told them I totally understood Dad, and to me, he was my only dad. Luke agreed. They said we couldn't expect them to be around him after he showed how little he truly loves them. I told them I would not choose them over Dad, so forget it. They were hurt and I get it. They told us we were breaking the family apart and we were refusing to see the positive. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. However she wants to frame it, your mom cheated on your dad and got pregnant 4 times. And not everyone gets pregnant the first time they try for a baby. So Christ knows how many people she's had unprotected activities with whilst she was with your dad. Apart from this being cheating, then there's the risk of STIs which she presented to your father without his knowledge. And how does she know he had a low sperm count if he's never been tested? She wanted to cheat, and she's using this as a rather feeble excuse. Not the a-hole, and standing with your dad is totally the right thing to do. My heart breaks for how he must feel, that all of you aren't with him in this. As for him feeling like less of a dad, he's so much more. Not the a-hole. Sperm donation is done with the full consent and knowledge of all parties. What your mother did is more commonly known as cheating. She is the a-hole in all of this, and the main person responsible for breaking 2 families apart. Yours and your father's, since I highly doubt that he will be speaking with his brother anytime soon. And his brother was married with a family when this happened. Just so much broken now. Found out my husband was in love with his friend, so I made her my best friend and now he has no one. Plus update. This happened a while back and names are changed for privacy purposes. All ages are at the time it happened. My female 27 husband, male 30, of 5 years, Steve, had a female best friend long before we met. We'll call her Amy. I met Amy pretty early on in the relationship and thought the girl best friend thing was kind of weird, but she seemed cool. I wasn't interested in a friendship between her and I, but I figured we could be civil. Steve had other friends, but more text every now and then friends. Amy was the only one he saw in person often. She even included me on activities occasionally. Movie nights at her house or trips to the park, etc. I felt more secure because of how kind she was. The security washed down the drain every time it sprung up though. Steve always looked at Amy in a way he never looked at me. He seemed so genuinely happy when she talked, more animated and excited, etc. He also tried to get me to cut my hair to be more like hers at one point and dye it a natural color. Amy had shoulder-length brown hair, beautiful on her but not the look for me. I had longish hair that I frequently dyed fun colors. He would also drop plans with me at the drop of the hat if the opportunity to spend time with Amy came up. Not every time, but one that stands out from memory is when we were about to take a trip to visit my family. A full-day trip if we don't stop anywhere on the way. And before we left, he texted Amy to see what she was doing that day. She said nothing, and he insisted we stop by to see her before we go. Amy did not know our plans. We ended up spending the whole day there, so I rescheduled my family visit. If I had been more vocal at the time, maybe it would have been different. But I didn't, and still don't, like arguing in front of people. And bringing it up in front of Amy felt mortifying at the time. I chalked it up to me being too self-conscious and over-worrying. Steve wasn't outright cruel to me or anything, but the little things and comments tore me down. This went on for our whole marriage. One night, Steve and I were drinking at home and watching bad Christmas movies, The Ginger Dead Man and such. I got in my feelings out of nowhere, as I often do when drunk, and asked him if he ever had feelings for Amy. He admitted to it. Said he tried to get her to be with him multiple times since middle school and she always rejected him. I asked that if she wanted to be together, if he would want to be with her instead of me. He said something along the lines of, "Stop making up hypothetical questions like that. That'll just hurt your feelings." I cried. We fought. I told him to leave and he called Amy and asked her to pick him up. When she got there, I, drunk as a skunk, went outside and in a not friendly way accused her of ruining my marriage knowingly. There was a three-way heated argument that I'm fuzzy on details of because A, I was drunk, B, even if sober, when I'm in a heated argument I tend to erase things, and C, this didn't exactly happen yesterday. At the end of it, Amy ended up taking Steve to his mom's house. She came back to me sitting in the yard crying. This is already too long, so I'll skip ahead a bit. Amy knew vaguely that Steve had feelings for her but thought it was a weird crush that would go away. She liked me, but thought I was cold so didn't try to force a friendship. She didn't know a lot of the stuff Steve had said to me as far as comparing me to her and was angry about it when she learned. She let him know that she wasn't and never would be interested in him romantically. He said he understood. Steve and I then did a temporary separation that led to divorce. Amy and I became friends. She was and is a great friend to me, almost worth everything Steve put me through. She's the sister I never had. She is still friends with Steve, but in the text every now and then way. I'm more self-confident now. No real long-term relationship since the divorce, but now I'm invited to every movie night, and trivia game and camping trip with Amy, so I'm not at all bothered by the lack of romantic partner. Sorry this was long. A little rushed at the end because I realized it was getting book length. Thanks for reading if you did. If you're married to a Steve, there are better things out there for you, darling. Now for the top comments before the mini update. Honestly don't understand why people marry someone else when they're in love with not the person they're marrying. Boggles my freaking brain. Glad you got out, OP. Would have been heartbreaking at the time, but you got the better outcome with a trusty friend. Fear of being alone and having a placeholder. This was uplifting, surprisingly. So you don't feel bad for Steve then? I kind of feel sorry for him, but not in a way that thinks you should regret anything because it all happened very naturally. I just feel you can't help how you feel, but he was bad at hiding it, if he even tried. To put it the best way I can, the reason I don't feel bad for Steve is because I realize he did this to himself. I loved him. He didn't love me. I left. I'm happier now. Worked on myself and didn't stay miserable. He loved Amy. Amy didn't love him. He clung around and made not only himself miserable, but also me for a while. Did he say he didn't love you? Or did you just interpret his, according to your own story, actual answer of, I've always had feelings for her and I'd want to be with her if we weren't together, as him not caring about you? I think a lot of people fool themselves into thinking they are the only one for their partner, and then make rash decisions when they find out that they've fallen in love before. Everyone settles, and statistically, it's highly probable you'd be someone's first and only choice. But congratulations on letting jealousy of a friendship that has existed for longer than your entire knowledge of this guy's existence mess up a marriage that, judging by your lack of complaints of the contrary, seemed perfectly fine. Oh, and Amy is a horrible friend. I'm laughing at the y'all should be together comments because you kinda do deserve each other. I understand what you mean. And maybe I wasn't super clear. And maybe if I was, you would still have the same opinion. I'm not upset that he had feelings for Amy. Someone else commented, and I agree I can't control who you have feelings for. But I feel the way everything went down. Marrying me without ever telling me he had feelings. Constantly putting me as wife on the back burner. Making me feel like a second-place trophy even before I knew about his feelings for her. Trying to get me to change my looks to be more like her, etc. was not how I deserved to be treated and was scummy looking back. If it was me today, I would never let any of that happen, let alone how long I let it happen. And if Amy had chosen to remain as close to him, I don't know if we would be as close. I want to say yes because of how we are now, but right in the middle of everything, I probably would have just called it a wash and not talked to her. If tomorrow she decides she wants to be close with him again, I wouldn't try to stop her. I wouldn't be around him, even if that makes me seem like a bitter child. It would have to be separate visits at separate times, etc. But I wouldn't want to lose her over it. Did I forget something and write this myself? Lol. I totally had an Amy in my life who was my best friend. Description of us matches perfectly. The hairdo, and I even cut mine to be like her. Unfortunately, my Steve ran away with her after having an affair for like most of our 7-year relationship. LMAO. She turned out to be a massive jerk to me near the end. Neither of them have friends because of what they did. Maybe like two, but they're also crappy people. I found gaslighting and the "there's nothing going on between us. Why would you think that? Why would you ask something that'll hurt you?" type answers the freaking worst. I legit thought I was making the whole thing up, and delusional to the point he had schizophrenia as it runs in the family. His friends even got in on it and had his back. Glad he dodged that one. Glad it worked out with you and your Amy. And now for the update. Before the main update, I would like to say thank you to all the supportive comments. And also, I am sorry to anyone with a Steve in their lives, and proud of the others who got rid of them. On to the main update. Steve found this post. Amy sent me screenshots. Not sure how to post them. Someone made a TikTok video and he saw it. Not super eventful, but something new on the old story. I considered deleting it to avoid the drama, but I decided instead to include everyone on the news if they'd like it. I may still delete it if it becomes too much. I just don't want to give him the power over me deleting it. I'm a little frazzled, honestly. Next story. I caught my husband with his best friend, but I won't tell them I know. Original post. My husband, male 28, is wealthy and is providing me, female 30, a great life while I'm studying. I would never have afforded it otherwise. As a matter of fact, I was a barista before I met him and didn't even dare dreaming about starting college. Now I'm in engineering school. He pays for everything. We have a great house. I don't need to do anything but study and have fun. His best friend, female 27 from college, separated from her common-law husband after he cheated on her. She had no place to go, and we have a guest house. I never had anything to worry about with them because they have known each other for ages. I always thought if they wanted, it would have happened already. I was mistaken. I started having a hunch because of nothing in particular, just felt that they changed with each other. So I snuck on them after pretending to go to my mom's. Nobody knows that I know. But I couldn't let him touch me for 2 months, blaming it on the stress from school starting. Now we do get intimate because I don't want him to suspect me or get tired of me. I cried the first time he touched me after I found out, and wanted to vomit, but I blamed it on stress. Now I just let him. I try to think about other things, and try to convince myself that it's just physical. I fake it sometimes when he notices me being absent-minded and starts saying, "Baby, come back to me." I'm in a race with time to finish school before he throws me aside for her. I also had IUD in without telling him. Nobody knows, not even my closest friends. Everyone thinks I'm the luckiest woman on earth, so loved and cherished by an amazing, successful husband. Nobody knows that I cry myself to sleep every night. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Wow, I'm so sorry. Thank you. It feels good to tell someone. So do you have an exit plan? Finish school and move to another city. Please be putting money aside as well. You need a nest egg to begin your new life. Other than that, so sorry this happened to you and best wishes for a fabulous new life. So, this woman leaves her husband because he cheated and then turns around and is your husband's mistress? What? I'm so sorry. Send all the positivity your way that I can. I kind of wonder if the mistress's ex actually cheated or if they divorced because of something she did. And she's just saying that to make herself look better. Like maybe the ex caught her cheating by walking in on her or something, but doesn't have proof and he decided to divorce her. But maybe then she decided to get the word out first that it was the other way around and that he was the one who cheated, so that no one would believe him when he truthfully said that she cheated on him. That would explain why she's comfortable being someone's mistress now, despite supposedly having been cheated on. Who knows though? For the sake of your education, stay. Try to be strong during those 3 years. Once you can stand on your own feet, leave this man. And don't feel guilty about taking advantage of his money. He's literally cheated on you and still calls you baby, for God's sake. You deserve to get this degree and leave his unfaithful butt. Yes, he still calls me baby. Tells me love you every morning when I go to college and he to work. Text me I miss you from his morning meeting. Calls during lunch and text what I want for dinner before coming home. Like nothing has changed. I can't believe how he can be so two-faced. Is she still in a guest house? Yes, I don't think she's going to leave anytime soon, but she's talking about getting back with her husband if he proposed. 3 years is a long time. I can understand why you're holding out, but your description of your intimate life made me so uncomfortable. I wish you strength, OP. Please remember that nothing is worth your mental health or your sanity. Take stock every few months, reevaluate where you are, and reconsider your options. It may be worth talking to a divorce lawyer so you can weigh up your options. You may be eligible for alimony and might not need to stay with them to continue your education. Are there any grants or scholarships you're entitled to? Please look into other options too. Yeah, I would not underestimate at all what this could do to someone's mental health. This is the sort of thing that can leave long-lasting trauma effects on your nervous system. And that sort of stuff can then take a long time to heal from. And now for the update. Hi everyone. I'm overwhelmed by the people who reached out to me and thank you for all the advice. I might have done something very petty last Tuesday, and I still don't know how to feel about what I did. And what good it did. Actually, no good at all. But I think the comments here triggered something inside me that told me to stop hiding. I will have to wait and see if I blew up my future. God, I hope I didn't. As I said before, maybe not in the post, but in the comments, that my husband's friend was trying to reconcile with her husband. She invited him for dinner in her guest house, and after dinner, they asked if they could join us for wine, and my husband was happy to invite them. They stayed for about 2 hours, and I had a lot to drink and wasn't talking a lot. When they came to the subject of reconciliation, I don't know what came over me, but I just mumbled, "Good, I'm happy you two are getting back together so she stops betting my husband." It didn't go well afterwards. My husband looked at me in shock, and I asked him if he thought I didn't know. I've known for months. The friend's husband kept asking, "Is this true? Are you serious? I can't believe you." My husband started crying and a friend started shouting, "You witch," and apologizing to her husband. When her husband left in anger, she rounded on me to yell some more. I told my husband that I was going to bed, and when I wake up tomorrow, I want her to be gone or I'm gone. I left them in the kitchen. I heard them yelling. Yesterday, she was gone. My husband wanted to talk and explain that it was nothing. He never meant to hurt me. He was so stupid not connecting the dots when my mental health was deteriorating. She meant nothing and he regrets it. He told me that he wanted to make it up to me and start couples therapy because we love each other, and we can overcome this with some help. So now he thinks we are going to work on our marriage. I don't know when he's gonna call my bluff, or what happens when his friend is officially single, as I heard that her husband has asked for separation of assets. I hope I didn't ruin everything because of one drunken mistake. You didn't ruin anything? They both ruined your marriage and hers. It's great he wants couples counseling, but you have a right to deny it. I wish you the best of luck. We'll see how much I've ruined. He has moved out to the guest house now because I told him I needed space. I can't control my emotions anymore. They ruined her marriage as well as yours for being a bunch of selfish idiots. It's amazing how you can blame yourself, and the fact that you do, and worry about the damage you may have caused for telling the truth about what they were doing behind your back, tells me you're a good person who probably doesn't stand up for herself enough. Huh, that was awesome. I hate when cheaters say it meant nothing, when that nothing was worth risking their entire marriage and shattering their spouse's heart. Him and his regrets can kick rocks. I think it hurts more when it means nothing. If my husband is going to destroy our relationship, I want it to be for his true love. I think it would be a little easier to accept and move on. I totally disagree with this. And I'm astonished that this is the general consensus here. Why? You really think I would feel better if it means something? Sorry, honey. I cheated on you, but it meant nothing. Sorry, honey. I cheated on you, but it meant so much to me. Yeah, no. I think what they were trying to say is that it's like him saying he broke your heart and betrayed you for no reason. Because it didn't mean anything or it meant nothing, he destroyed your relationship literally over nothing. Which is another way of saying he cared about a relationship less than nothing. Because at least if it was for a good reason like love, that would mean he at least cared about your guys' relationship and had a reason, no matter how crappy the reason is. But to do it for no reason? It's just cruel. Like you tossed away all those years over nothing.